Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Very active 3-hour program lined up today. NFL schedule takeaways and observations. Most MLB wins in May race. Paulie is super stoked today. PGA Championship update. I know that you love the leaderboard. NBA and NHL playoffs as well. How about this developing situation? And it comes on the heels of me betting this guy's player prop for tonight.
Right. We had to dig in, and we were looking at stuff, and why was he so low for threes, made threes, yeah.
So I made a bet like literally 10 minutes ago and put it up on the vsin.com picks page. Jamal Murray over 2.5 made threes at plus 140. And I have plenty of reasons why I wanted to make the bet. And then right before the show starts, I'm like, wait a second, what does this tweet say? He's now listed questionable for tonight's game.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff is off now.
Oh,
What a development. What a development here.
Illness.
Well, yeah, it's like the Porzingis thing. How long are you going to be sick? Missoula, he couldn't breathe. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty substantial, I would say.
Yeah, and then Cornette saves the season. I mean, this is between Achilles injuries and everything else going on, and now you could have the season on the line, and your second-best player might not be available, or certainly limited if he's out there.
Well, and by the way, so before this news came down again, within the last 10 to 15 minutes, whatever it was, with Jamal Murray, the point spread got down as low as 4 here at Circa. And that was the lowest, I think, anywhere, because the screen was showing 4.5s at other books. Some like FanDuel and Caesars had 5 on the game. And now I see some books up to 5.5 across the country.
Yep.
So
if he's out, then it's all about Gordon. I know they're at home, but I still don't trust Porter, who has done nothing, right? Westbrook's been terrible. So to me, it's all about Gordon, and my God, you can't put the Joker props high enough if he can't go. I also will say this. I know Chris Macero's got all these big tickets, and a lot of people in the audience do as well, to win the West with OKC. I don't have any confidence in them. I still don't think what they've done on the road, the only time we saw them really come out lately and say, this is the regular season team that was so good, and I know you disagree about this, but it was the Game 2 performance, which was an all-timer. But it's like, where's the team that's kicking ass and taking names?
Well, I thought the fourth quarter the other night was great.
Yeah, but you're down 12 at home, though. That's not the team that had the number 1 point differential and was number 1 in all these grade categories, and a team that almost won 70 games. You're 1-6 ATS last 7. You couldn't blow out. You're down 30 to Memphis.
Well, I know, by the way,
come on.
And they were laying gigantic numbers throughout the entire year, and they were incredible at covering those numbers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And it was just a matter of time in the second half before they would hit you with the big run and blow you out.
Yeah, the wave was coming at some point.
Yeah, I mean, this is Williams up and down, Dort up and down. You blew game 1, I understand that, but this is it goes back to the discussion we had yesterday with Jeff Sherman. Like, what will it take for you to downgrade a team at this point in the season? Minnesota looks great. Randall's been awesome. Ant's been great. OKC isn't even close to the regular season team. That's why I think it's crazy if that series price would be $330.
So, by the way, how does this affect the total? If Murray, again, if you're just tuning in right now at this second, Jamal Murray now suddenly listed as questionable for this game tonight with an illness. That's the report that dropped right before the show started. The total was sitting at 217.5 earlier today. In fact, not even that long ago. Updated number here, I'm seeing 215 at a respected offshore book. 215.5 nationally, and basically a 216 at a couple of other spots. And so that's down a full between 1.5 and 2.5 points from, moments ago, basically.
Yep.
And
I'm fine with the under. Based on the grind and the 1 day off between games. I know it's short travel, but this has just been a war of attrition here, which you saw it started with the Friday night game. And then the short turnaround, and like Chet said, it was almost a back-to-back. So
I was really hoping for a Game 7 because the weekend might be a little bit light on games.
That's true. We might not have any action. Because if the Knicks, even if the Celtics win tomorrow, Game 7 is Monday. And it doesn't look good in hockey either.
So what about Joker's assist prop? You bet this yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Under 8.5?
Yeah, too high.
So his assist, this goes back to Game 6 against the Clippers in order. 8, 8, 6, 6, 6, 3, and 5. It's 8.5 again tonight, which they've adjusted because it was higher than that earlier in the playoffs. But if Murray can't go tonight, or if he's at least compromised, you're taking, the second best offensive player on the team and a major weapon that you can count on to, score 20 points, hit some threes, whatever, and one of the main guys that he would be assisting the basketball to off the team.
Yeah, and my thinking yesterday was also it's got to be all about him. Get on my back, let's go. Because he didn't, other than Murray, didn't have help in the last game. He has to be aggressive, and he has to dominate, and as long as Daigneault is not going to contain him, and you got Hartenstein and Holmgren. They should be able to at least hold this guy under 40, but he's just so damn good. And he actually had some bad moments, though, too. Again, as I said earlier in the week, I've never seen him play this poorly, but I also thought he was fatigued. But he was dynamite in Game 5, and I think if it's all about him, and he's got to be aggressive and take most of the shots as well. From the other standpoint is, what do you do with the Thunder props? Because if you go to the prop analyzer at vsin.com, you see Dort has been on a big underrun, and also Porter with assists, but they've been so bad for no assists that now they're looking at a half. Like, Dort can't have one assist tonight? One? You get one on accident.
Sure he could.
Porter can't have an assist?
I don't know about him.
But they keep going, black hole, I know. But they keep going under, that now you just have this, how low can you go? And at Will Hill, they're a half on Dort. Will he have an assist?
Okay, so again, looking at the screen and having multiple books up right now in front of me, it looks like, they have readjusted some of the other players for Denver for tonight. Westbrook is sitting at 10.5. It was 9.5 earlier today. And let me give you the rundown here. If you go back to that Clippers series, because he was on a heater, man, and his prop was as low as 8.5, and that was in Game 5 against the Clippers. He had 21. They adjusted to 10.5. The next game, he went over that, had 14. Then he had 16 to go over again. Then he had 18 in Game 1 against Oklahoma City to go over again. Then he had 19 in Game 2 against Oklahoma City. That's 5 straight overs in the playoffs. So books finally said enough's enough, and they adjusted from 11.5 points to 14.5 points. And since that game, he's had 8, 6, and 4 in order. So he's really giving them nothing as well. But I kind of want to buy low now that, it's going back up at 10.5 to bank on Westbrook. Just on sheer volume alone if Murray can't go tonight.
Porter's intriguing too, though, because he was so bad. But he's had some moments at home, though. So even though he's playing hurt.
Yeah.
And again, he's got a little, he's like Kuminga. I don't care, I'm still shooting. Right?
Well, he could miss 8 in a row and it's still going to go up.
Yeah, right. He's not going to pass the ball.
Right.
So that also ties into the Westbrook props as well.
Oh, man,
maybe it's a Brown game. I don't know. Maybe he does something.
Could be.
He's got. That could happen.
The first player you mentioned, though, was the guy to really take a peek at is Aaron Gordon.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's averaging around 6-3 attempts per game anyway.
I know the guys before us, too, were talking about they like his rebounds prop over tonight as well. And that was before the Murray news, too. So
wow, this is absolutely fascinating. If again, we'll keep you up to date of the latest news that we have. If it develops, in the next 3 hours that we're live on the air today. Again, Jamal Murray, not that long ago, right before the show started, listed as questionable suddenly for this game tonight with an illness. And boy, oh boy, I hope he can go. You have that, and now we are looking at a Game 6 tomorrow night with the Celtics taking on the Knicks. And for one game anyway, and I'd say, specifically the second half, it worked out really well for Boston.
That was backwards.
Yeah, I had that. I thought I liked the Celtics last night, but I thought first half would be where they would shine, and then they would hang on in the end. But it flipped.
Yep.
And so now this opened up 1, and now Knicks are 2.5. You agree with the move?
I don't think so. It's been a strange series. It's an all-time series. As Underdog said last night on TNT, it's 5-0 Celtics. It should be 5-0. 5 games to none.
Yeah.
He's right. But they found something here now because you can't play Porzingis, and the energy and what Kornet gave him. Now, OG won't shoot like that again.
Right.
And Bridges was bad, and Brunson had foul trouble. But they're 10-2 without Tatum. And the way White played, certainly he won't go for 34 in the Garden. But between White and Pritchard, and if those threes are going in, and what you have down low with Kornet, Brown played well. I think this is an intriguing game tomorrow, and the second most expensive ticket in Garden history. But I would say Jalen Brunson have the most points in the game. Other than that, I don't have a feel. It's been a backward series.
I was hoping. No, you're exactly right. I was hoping the game would open up pick'em, because then I really would have put a nice bet in on the Knicks. But in fact, I missed the 1. The first number I saw was 1.5. I'm like, oh, well, that's not the number that I wanted, so I'm not going to force a bet. I do like the Knicks to win the game. I don't think we're going to get that from the Celtics for a full game. I liked them again last night. I thought that was the spot.
Yeah.
And I don't think that carries over to the Garden.
Al played well. Holiday played well.
Right.
Finally, all these guys chipped in when they needed them. So it was backwards. You think they were going to come out and put it on them early? But you got to come right back with the Pritchard props, too.
Well, he's one guy for sure.
Oh, he's going to shoot a ton at the...
He will.
Right.
He'll take 12, 15 threes.
Right, and he was great in Game 3, too. So I think he can do it in the Garden again. Smarter bets start here, last all year long with VSiN Pro. Get the annual subscription, 14 months, just $199. Promo code PRO. 2 extra months free for under 50 cents a day. The PGA best bets, everything from golf. Mike Somich, who hit the Super. He's got the Preakness and all his horse racing plays. The betting splits that everyone loves. The dog videos and the betting trends from Mackinnon. VSiN.com/subscribe. Code PRO. Get it now. Incredible deal. Come on.
You agree with this tweet from Mark? 20, 20, 31, 13, and 25 points that the Knicks were down by in each game against the Celtics. They barely got by the Pistons, yet they're somehow favored to get to the finals.
Yeah.
And he says Pacers in 5.
Yep. No one talks about that. Even our buddy Paul Bovey, Knicks fan. They were outplayed by the Pistons.
100% they were.
They should have lost that series.
Absolutely.
And the call in the corner with the 3, I mean, it changes everything. No one talks about that now. I mean, the Celtics have just gagged this series away.
It's fun.
It is awesome. That'll be rocking tomorrow.
High drama. We will get into a lot to talk about with the NFL schedule from last night with the release, some observations, tough schedules, easy schedules. We'll kick it around next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
NFL released their schedule last night. Big night on the sports calendar every single year. Now you can really start to dive into win totals, division bets. At least I wait till the schedule anyway. And we'll talk about it more with a good friend of the show, Adam Chernoff with Right Angle Sports and FootballBetters.com as he joins the Progressive Guest Line. Adam, good afternoon. Good to speak to you again. How's the offseason going?
Offseason been going great. Good to see you guys as well. You guys are looking good. Looking forward to chatting NFL for the first time in a few months here.
Okay, so we'll talk to you for the next half an hour. Let's begin in this segment with the winners after last night's schedule release. And as I teased before the break, the team that you think has the clearest path of any team to get the number 1 seed in either conference, who'd you really like after last night's schedule release?
100% the Buffalo Bills. Clearest path to the 1 seed, either conference, by a mile. You said it. I think it's even stronger than that. Like, you can double and triple down on this thought because the Bills get an absolute walk in the AFC relative to their opponents that they're going to be facing. It's a top 5 schedule for ease of difficulty overall. It's the easiest road schedule. And for this team, I mean, all of the hard games that they have are going to be played at home. And those yesterday drew really well. They have the rest of the offseason to prepare for Baltimore in week 1. And then the Chiefs and the Eagles and the Buccaneers and the Bengals are all in the second half of the season. And so the Bills are able to go on this early run where they have a lot of home games, a lot of easier opponents. They're able to stack up wins, get things figured out on both sides of the ball. Some of the defensive suspensions return. And then you have this strong home field advantage that's been one of the best in the league since Allen took over, where you're hosting all of these teams that are coming off of playing top 12 schedules for each of them in terms of difficulty. They're all in brutal divisions that are going to be beating each other up. And it just sets up so well for the Bills. They don't have 3-game road trips anywhere on the schedule. And even from a rest perspective, the one Monday Night Football appearance that they have is right before their bye week. So they don't even get caught with the short prep week as well. This is a dream for the Bills, and this is their best opportunity to win the AFC, to win the 1 seed, to lock up home field advantage. I certainly think they do.
Also a dream for the 49ers, right? With this easy schedule that they face?
I mean, it's kind of a joke for San Francisco when you look at it. Honestly, they went from the 5th most difficult schedule last year to the easiest overall this year. Their top 5 easy road, top 5 easy home, any way you want to look at it. This sets up so well. And the rest disparity is kind of crazy too. When you think about what they dealt with last year, which was a net of -22 to this year's +9 for rest days. So they have a month extra rest last season to this season compared to their opponents, which is ridiculous. They don't face any opponents coming off of a bye all season, and 8 of their final 10 games in the schedule are against teams coming off of a road game. So everywhere you want to look at this 49ers schedule and every way that it shapes up, I mean, this is as easy as it gets for the 49ers. They're going to have a big offensive scheme shift as they really need to try to figure out how to beat man coverage after seeing a record high of it last year for a Shanahan season. Defensively, they're loaded up again with Robert Salah, so you have to have pretty high expectations for the 49ers going into this season.
Yeah, no kidding. And the win total reflects that as well. I mean, their power rating is always super high. The win total there is at 10.5 with various juice at different books. The Patriots now, a lot of steam on this team, a lot of hype already after the schedule from last night. They're favored in 11 games this year already after they were not favored in a single game last year, and the win total is 8.5. But you really like the way things broke last night for New England.
Yeah, if you're a Pats fan, if you're a Pats player, if you're anyone on that coaching staff, I think you have to be thrilled. If we're thinking about this from a betting perspective, I would say there's 3 reasons why you want to bet on a Patriots over. Not necessarily advocating it for myself, but just putting myself in better shoes. One would be you're looking at Mike Vrabel and say, hey, he's turning this team around. It's going to be a big step up from Gerard Mayo. Number 2 would be the defense returns to form. It fell off last year without Belichick. Hey, maybe Vrabel can get it back up to a top 13, top 14 level in the league. And then you would hope that Drake May is going to take the leap in year 2. The way that the schedule broke for the Pats, I think, is ideal for all 3 of those. In the first 9 games, the only opponent that the Pats have that is currently rated above average in power ratings is the Buffalo Bills, and they play them a little bit later into October. I don't know how you want to classify Michael Penix. I got a little bit exaggerative in the newsletter and said, hey, look, if you want to say he's a new first-time starter, I know he started 3 games down the stretch last year, but if you put him in that category of the 9 quarterbacks that the Pats will face in the first 9 games, 6 of them can be classified as first-time starters. And the really difficult games beyond the Bills, Bucks, Bengals, Ravens, all of those are coming later in the year. So you're thinking about this from a Pats perspective, like what do you want to get going right with the team early? They're going to be able to figure all of that out against pretty manageable opponents. So it's not like they're getting thrown into a spot where they're really tested early. So it's a pretty great draw for the Pats overall.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned this earlier, that Miami's looking at a lot of cold weather games, and it could be as many as 4. You have a unique take on Arizona, considering young quarterbacks who they face early, and also that weather won't be a problem with Arizona.
Yeah, so I think one of my strongest offseason takes so far that as we preview teams over the weeks and months to come will become pretty apparent is I think Arizona is going to take a pretty big step forward this season. And I think the defense specifically is going to be a unit that takes a really big step forward. They nailed free agency. They nailed the draft. New D-line coach that everyone loves. New linebackers coach everybody loves. Last year, they played so hard. They're buying in for Jonathan Gannon and what he's doing. This year is where the leap forward takes place. And you think about all those new pieces up front, in the secondary as well. Like, what an ideal way for the Cardinals to figure things out early. They start with very likely Tyler Shuck as a rookie. Then you have Bryce Young. Then it's Sam Darnold and a new offense behind a new O-line. Cam Ward is a rookie. I don't know who the Colts are going to trot out as quarterback. I mean, it's a really good start for the Cardinals to figure out this defense early. So, like, stock arrow up both sides here for the Cardinals, offense and defense. But as you mentioned, cold weather games late in the season, that's a big deal. Obviously, Arizona plays all of their home games indoors, but the way that the schedule fell, Arizona is going to play 4 of their 4 road games indoors, which is a big break for them. And then of the outdoor road games that Arizona gets, there's really only one that you can point to on the schedule that could have weather implications, that is cold weather, snow, bad conditions, and that would be Cincinnati in week 17. Otherwise, these other outdoor games, they fell at really good times within the schedule. So Arizona as a dome team indoors is going to be really comfortable all season long. So not only did they nail free agency in the draft, but man, Arizona, the way the schedule fell and the distribution of games, got it really well as a team overall.
Very good. Adam Chernoff, our guest here on the Progressive Guest Line. So for the first time in history, the Minnesota Vikings will play back-to-back international games in 2 different cities. You think that could be a good thing for the Vikes?
2 different cities, 2 different countries, although the flight time, like one of the things that I think is really overblown that we're seeing is the miles traveled by teams. I think it's one of the most overblown things we hear every time. The distance from Dublin to London from a flight is incredibly short. So it's not like it's going to be incredibly taxing on them like it's being labeled up to be with all this travel. Here's where it broke pretty well for Minnesota. Those 2 games against Pittsburgh and Cleveland, again, we're talking about Arizona being an indoor team and how favorable the draw was getting all these road games that are indoor games. When I was looking at Minnesota's schedule, they have a brutal home schedule, and they really needed things to break right for them on the road in order to get to a point where you're looking at 9+ wins to go over the win total. Well, you see these 2 games, not only are Pittsburgh and Cleveland removed from being late season games in bad weather for Minnesota to have to go outdoors and play, both of them now are going to be international games. So you remove home field advantage from both the Steelers and the Browns, which matters. But then I also start to wonder, are we looking at maybe the second game for Minnesota as being perhaps closer to a home game than a road game, with them not having to travel across the ocean with a longer flight, whereas the second opponent is going to have to? I think the answer is yes. So both of these were road games for Minnesota. Their schedule went from 8 home games, which were brutal, and 9 road games, which could have fell pretty poorly, to, I would say now at best, 8 home games, 7 road games, and 2 neutral. I think I could probably make the case it's closer to 9 home games, 7 away games, and 1 neutral. I think that's a pretty good draw for Minnesota with those 2 international games. Now, the rest of the first 8 weeks, it's going to be tough. All the NFC North teams have it pretty tough. But for me, Minnesota, with those 2 games and the opponents they got, it's a pretty good deal for them, I think.
All right, dynamite analysis on the Vikings there and a bunch of other teams. We'll continue here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, with Adam Chernoff. He's on the Progressive Guest Line with Right Angle Sports and FootballBetters.com. We will dive into Adam's schedule losers up next. The NFL was not too kind to the 2 Super Bowl participants from a year ago. Find out why next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We continue talking NFL schedule release, observations, and takeaways with a longtime friend of the show, Adam Chernoff, with Right Angle Sports and FootballBetters.com as well. He is on the Progressive Guest Line. So as much as you like the path for Buffalo in the first segment to get the 1 seed out of any team in the sport, and specifically the AFC, I think it's the exact opposite for the New York Giants. First of all, a bad football team going in. And you can expand on this, Adam. But my God almighty, the first 4 games at the Commanders, at the Cowboys, Chiefs on Sunday night, then the Chargers. And if you look at the overall schedule, it doesn't get much easier than that.
No, there's no weeks off anywhere. It's a joke. I get roasted for this take. And there's a Twitter thread that has like 100 replies of people just criticizing me. I think this is the perfect case, if I had to make one in court, for why the NFL needs to remove divisions. Get rid of them. Then it's a hindrance to the schedule, because for a last place schedule that the Giants are drawing here, it makes no sense. And compare that to the Bills with a first place schedule, it makes no sense either. But there's no weeks off for the Giants. And as a team with so many questions, like how secure is Dayball's job? Is he going to make it through the season if this goes as bad as it looks like it might? What happens with Wilson, Winston? Do we see Dart earlier than we expected? I have no idea what's going to happen with this team. I have no idea where the wins come from. I get the D-line is loaded, but is the D-line going to matter when you're facing 7, 14, 21-point deficits week after week against a murderer's row of schedule? This is as bad as it gets for the Giants.
Okay. Is Tennessee a close second then? Or close first?
I think so. Yeah. Well, if you had to hand pick a bad start for Cam Ward and this offense that's trying to figure things out, and a coach that's desperately trying to find answers, going on the road to play Denver, which has a legitimate chance of being the best defense we've seen in the last decade in the NFL. I mean, the best teams struggle going on the road to Denver. This is a nightmare start for Cam Ward, but it doesn't get easier after that. The Rams coming up were a top 10 defense last year. A very underrated Colts defense with Lou Anarumo taking over with all those veterans. Houston on the road in Houston, suffocating pass defense. We saw what they did in the playoffs. Revamped Arizona defense we talked about last segment, on the road as well. Then it's a third road game again against Las Vegas and Max Crosby and that pass rush. I mean, it is a brutal start for Tennessee. Not quite as bad as the Giants. But, man, you think about this 3 road games in a row as well. 31% win rate for these teams facing 3 road games in a row since the schedule change. And Cam Ward has to deal with that, these other tough defenses. And we still don't know what the ceiling might even be with him. It's not like it was a slam dunk number 1 highly rated prospect. There were concerns about him up until later in March. So, I mean, this could be brutal for Tennessee to start as well.
Yeah, the schedule makers were unkind to the Eagles and the Chiefs, the 2 teams who played each other in the Super Bowl last year. Why do you think they did them no favors last night?
Believe it or not, the Eagles don't have back-to-back home games all season. I thought it was a typo initially as I'm looking at schedule grids. I'm going through it. I don't know if this...
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Thanks for checking in. Busy hour coming up. In 15 minutes, we'll dive into the playoff schedule that we have for tonight, NBA and the NHL. Bottom of the hour, Adam Chernoff on the program. His likes, dislikes from the NFL schedule, observations, things to write down and maybe make note of when you're making bets this year. And here we begin with best bets in soccer as the Meat Man Steve Wyss joins the program now. You can follow him on X. He is at Meat Man Soccer with the Nordic Football Pod and Because We Win, and he is on the Progressive Guest line. Steve, good afternoon. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
Mitch and Paulie, doing really well, thank you. Great to be on the show and looking forward to hopefully getting some winners here.
Very good. Okay, let's begin in the Prim over the weekend as Leicester takes on Ipswich here. How do you want to attack this game from a betting standpoint?
Yeah, I like the over goals here. 2.75 on the Asian line. For those who can't access that, then just take it straight over 2.5 goals. This is going to be a championship fixture next season. Both teams have been relegated. They're not very good, but the good thing about it when they face each other now is I think they're both going to quite fancy the win. Maybe lay down a bit of a marker for next season, give them a mental edge. And I think there'll be goals in the game. I mentioned Jamie Vardy before, Leicester legend. This now will be his last home game in front of his adoring fans. So you might want to get Jamie Vardy on side as well. In anytime goal scorer, maybe even to score 2 goals or more. But the point is he's going to be really fired up. So, there's 2 good strikers here, Vardy and Delap, who are very capable of scoring against these poor defences. So the 2.75 goal line, remember at this stage of a soccer season in any league, the goals average per game goes significantly up. So I thought we'd get an Asian line of about 3 here. So I think we're getting definitely at least a quarter of a line value, even money as well. I think the match certainly goes over 2.5. Hopefully, that would be a half winner on this 2.75 goal line, but this could go way over the goal line. And watch out for Vardy and Delap to score any time as well.
Okay, let me run some numbers here that I'm seeing on Vardy right now. Again, first sportsbook I'm looking at, as you brought up his name, is plus 175 anytime goal, a good enough number for you?
Oh, easily. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be really fired up here. I mentioned him to be carded in a game recently as well. That's another option here because that shirt will definitely come off if he scores in his last game.
Okay. How about plus 950 for 2 goals or 70-1 for the hat trick?
I think maybe the hat trick's pushing it a bit too far, but 2 goals is definitely within his wheelhouse. He will be substituted off probably around about the 80th or 85th minute for a standing ovation. He'll have his moment. And I think Leicester probably will actually win the game, but you could see something stupid like a 2-2 draw here.
Did you say first goal of the match? Because that cashed last time when Nigel said he would score and he got the first one. That was plus 450.
It's 5-1 this game. This match.
That's not bad, and that's what happened in the last one. Excellent. These are Sunday now, and this is the early one at 7 a.m. Eastern. Everton and Southampton. Tough one there. I know I was with you as well. I thought Man City would bury them. Southampton parked the bus. Man City was livid, like they didn't even try to score. They were calling them out, but they avoided having the worst season in Premier League history as they got the 0-0 draw. Now they're taking on Everton. Does Everton pound them here?
Southampton celebrated the 0-0 draw like they won the Soccer World Cup.
Yes, I know.
It was ridiculous. One of the worst teams ever.
Yeah.
And they're celebrating like they won the World Cup. Well done to Southampton. They got the 0-0 and it cost me badly. I hope Everton absolutely muller them here, as we might say, in England. And I think Everton get the win, certainly. And I think they would get quite a big win. This is another really emotional game. This is the last ever match that the Everton men's team is going to be playing at Goodison Park, their home stadium. It's 133 years old, is this stadium. They're moving to a brand new stadium right on the Docklands near in Liverpool, and it's a great looking stadium, I must say. I'm excited to see them in it next season. But the fans are going to be so emotional. The whole team is going to be fired up incredibly. I don't think Southampton have got any chance against this sort of motivation. They've just avoided being the officially the worst ever team in Premier League history. They've got the 12 points. So I don't think they'll really care now too much. This is all about Everton. It's all about them. They've got to win their last match at Goodison Park. It just will not go down well with the fans, especially considering who they're playing against. So I'm going to take them. Minus 1.25 on the Asian handicap. This is at minus 110. We do get some security. If they only win by a 1-goal margin, we're losing half our stake. But like I said, I think this could be quite a big Everton win. Really emotional occasion. They're going to be so fired up, and I think they get the job done comfortably. Let's remember, this is still a very, very, very poor Southampton team, boys.
Yes. The Meat Man's our guest. Follow the money, Paulie and Mitch VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. It's on the Progressive Guest Line at Meat Man Soccer on X, Because We Win Pod. The late match is Arsenal and Newcastle. Big one here. Second place, third place. Can Newcastle jump up? And they've had a great season. How do you see Arsenal against Newcastle?
I think Newcastle on the draw double chance is a really good bet here. Like it said on the graphic there, to win or draw. That's something they've managed to do in all three meetings this season. Twice in the EFL Cup and once in the league as well. In fact, Arsenal haven't even scored a single goal against Newcastle in the three meetings this season. So I think it's suddenly become a really difficult head-to-head matchup for Arsenal. And Arsenal just have really struggled in recent weeks. They did have a good run to the Champions League semi-final. They got knocked out of that, and I think they're certainly feeling a bit delicate about themselves. They've only won one of their last 6 Premier League games. That was against Ipswich away, which almost doesn't count because Ipswich are terrible. They're conceding goals. That was the only clean sheet they've had in 7 games as well. So, I mean, if you look at the league table, thankfully for Arsenal, they've got Southampton at home the last game of the season. Or away from home, actually, sorry. And that's going to be a win if they need to get the win. So it doesn't really matter if they get the win here or not. A draw would be a good result for Arsenal. Make sure it will cement their second place in the table. And I think Newcastle will be fired up. There's actually been a bit of a rivalry now between these two teams when they face each other. A bit of needle, as we say here. And, this defence of Newcastle seems to match up really well against an Arsenal attack, which just does lack goals. Arsenal Football Club need to buy a world-class striker this summer. Otherwise, they're going to keep not winning trophies. I think this will be quite a low-scoring game. A draw is very likely. So Newcastle are massively overpriced on the draw.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Busy hour on tap coming up in 15 minutes. Our observations and bets that we're looking at for the NFL schedule as they released it last night. We will get into the playoff games that we have, NBA and the NHL, which is where we begin here with VSiN's very own NHL betting analyst, Jonathan Davis, as he joins us here an hour before puck drop between Carolina and Washington on the Progressive Guest Line. Jonathan, good to talk to you as always. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I can't wait. Looking forward to another great night of Stanley Cup playoffs. And, hey, 2 closeout games. Never a bad thing.
Let's begin with the one that starts in an hour then. Carolina against Washington. Here you have the 1 seed on the ropes, and it has not been a pretty series for them. And what do you make of the current number on this, with Carolina being this big of a favorite and the total at 5.5 in this game, Jonathan?
Well, I mean, they've been a big favorite throughout, so no surprise. And Washington just, has not had an answer for them. At the end of the day, they can't really generate offense other than it's been 3 goals is the best that they've been able to do. So I think they're in for a tough spot. I mean, the trends that I've been playing is the team that loses, you bet them to score first in the next game. It's been just hard. I mean, we don't get goals. We don't get a lot of goals in this one. So for me, I'm actually going to focus on a couple of props. And, Alexander Ovechkin's had 10 shots in his last couple of games, in his last 3 games. Taylor Hall's had at least 2 shots in 3 of his last 4 games. So I parlayed those 2 guys, Ovechkin over 2.5 and Hall over 1.5. You get that at plus money. Even took Hall on his own at over 2.5. So I like that. And then here's the other thing with closeout games. We've had 12 closeout games so far in the playoffs. 9 of them have been decided by 2 or more goals. And 3 of the 4 times that the team that needed to stay alive won the game, they won by 2 or more goals. So I actually play both teams on the puck line because I think I'm going to come away with a small profit. If it's Carolina, I come away with a small profit. If it's Washington, I can win about 2 units.
The other thing, too, and you mentioned this on vsin.com, is that every first period has gone under, and there's only been 1 goal scored in the first period in the whole series. But with closeout games, and I want to know if you want to play the empty net prop as well, that this is it. Washington loses, it's over. So once Thompson comes out, he stays out. And if you want to play that angle where last goal, empty net, who's going to score the last goal, all that jazz, too, how you want to play this and how you think a game could go over late.
I would play the third period over 2.
Okay.
That's the way I'm going to. We haven't seen as many empty net goals of late, but we've definitely seen a lot of goals. And the third period in this series is 3-1 to the over. And we've had, I think, 3 of those 4 games have had 3 goals or more in the third period.
All right. Same situation with Winnipeg. Here we go. Hellebuck lost 9 in a row on the road, 0-5 this year. They are 5-1 at home, though. In the playoffs, can they keep this one alive? Your level of confidence and trust in Hellebuck here at home, or does Dallas close them out? How do you see that? And then some props you want to get into in the late game.
Yeah, so if Winnipeg, if this is their best shot, they're back at home, so it's their comfort zone. It's the whiteout. Connor Hellebuck seems to play better overall in this spot, but I still don't trust him. And although he's 5-1 at home, Paulie, 4 of those games, he's given up at least 3 goals.
Yep.
So for me, I'm going to go take the Dallas team total over 2.5 at this one. That's my favorite play in this game.
Okay. And how about some props then?
Yeah, props. Look, Thomas Harley of the Dallas Stars, he's got 3 goals and 9 assists or 6 assists in the playoffs. He's got 5 power play points in this series. So for me, the way I attack it is don't just play an assist. He's got 5 power play points. They're all assists on the power play. I would rather take him at 3-1 to get a power play point. And you could also play an anytime goal for Harley because he's the guy. He's taken over from Heiskanen on the power play. So I like him. Play a goal prop, play his power play point, and I think you're going to come away with some good money there. Kyle Connor and Nikolai Ehlers. I know that you had Dennis Bernstein on the show earlier this week. He loved the Ehlers prop. It cashed, I think, in the first period that night.
Right.
I parlayed Ehlers with Connor, both over 2.5 shots at a plus price tonight. So, and Ehlers has been their best goal scorer in the series. If you want a long shot and you like the Jets tonight, Adam Lowry, their captain, has always been a big playoff performer. The books have caught on. He was as high as $7 at one point. He's still at plus 460 for a goal. I would sprinkle a little pizza money on Adam Lowry for an anytime goal.
Okay, I like that angle. Jonathan Davis here, our guest on the Progressive Guest Line. He is VSiN's NHL betting analyst with us here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. So one thing on the Stars team total tonight, are you a little bit concerned that you're going to be going up against good Hellebuck here at home in Winnipeg and you'd rather just do it on the road, or you don't really care about that?
Well, no, because Mitch, he's given up at least 3 goals 4 times at home. So, I got a 67% chance the way it's gone in the playoffs so far that I'm going to get 3. I don't care if Dallas wins, but I still think they got, he's still has the propensity to give up 3 at home, in 4 of the 6 home games. So I'm still with the Dallas team totally.
If the Stars take this one tonight and they finish them off in 5 games, your early thoughts on what would be pretty close to a pick-em, I believe, in a Stars-Oilers Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, I mean, look, both these teams, Dallas has the revenge of, getting knocked out by Edmonton last year, especially in that final game where, Stuart Skinner stole it, rinse and repeat on Stuart Skinner doing that late in the series. And for Edmonton, their whole idea, they want to get back to the Cup. So it's a coin flip for me. I would bet the Stars early on in that series, just for the way Skinner plays early on, and then see how it goes, and then maybe come back with Edmonton.
Mitch bet this, and other listeners did as well. Back-to-back shutouts. It's interesting because it's a huge price. They're going to the conference finals, but he was horrendous to start the series and got pulled. What do you think of Skinner at 200, 300 to 1 to win a Conn Smythe?
Look, the number's outstanding, and if he can keep it up, great. But here's the one thing. When you look back to Game 4 of this series, the first shutout that he got, the 3-0 game in Edmonton, guys, he was the third star that night. Like, he didn't have to. You're going to give the guy one of the 3 stars of the game because he earned a shutout. But I think, he didn't have to do much. It was pretty much of a rocking chair game for him that night. Last night, he was the second star, rightfully so, because he was on the winning end. I thought Adin Hill was better than Skinner. Didn't matter at the end of the day. But he hasn't had to be their best player, even in the 2 shutouts. But it's definitely worth the money because, again, if he continues to play his best when the game's, at the end of a series, then people are going to look at it. And he's a great story. The media loves this guy. He's a very likable person. His interviews are great. He's one of the few goalies that will talk on a game day. Like, that's Marty Brodeur was the last guy that I remember that ever did that. So, I mean, yeah, if he keeps it up, like, grab that price now. You're never going to get a better one.
Are we going to see any heart, guts, or pride from the Maple Leafs tomorrow after that debacle last night?
Well, Paulie, like, telling you during the break, I was talking to a doctor who works close to the team, and the Maple Leaf players, there's about 12 of them that are suffering from a torn cartilage and a motivator cuff injury. No, I don't know. It's unbelievable. I thought it was bad in Los Angeles, the egg that they laid in Game 5 against Edmonton. That's a Picasso after what we saw last night in Toronto. I mean, booed off the ice after the second period, jerseys being thrown on the ice. And the interviews that you hear from Matthews and Marner they're so ho-hum. I mean, you if you were a fan, and I'm not a Leafs fan by any stretch, but I'm just like, it just doesn't seem like it bothers them. And I've said to you guys repeatedly, they like to win. They don't hate to lose. They don't go to the dirty areas. It was pointed out to me, I think Mikko Rantanen for Dallas has more goals this year than Marner's had like in the last 6 years in the playoffs.
Oh,
Combined.
God. Oh, I couldn't believe it either. It was like every guy after the game said, well, it doesn't matter whether you lose in overtime or you lose 6-1. Yes, it does, because you didn't show any fight. You got embarrassed. I mean, you can at least feel good about your game if you had the lead or you lose 2-1 in overtime. I mean, as you said, they booed him off the ice.
Yeah, look, when Max Domi ran Sasha Barkov from behind at the end of Game 4 to send the message that we're done being pushed around, if you don't follow up the next game and play like you mean it, I mean, you're outshot 14-6 in the first period last night. At one point, William Nylander had 5 shots on goal. The rest of the Maple Leafs team had 6. And not that Nylander played great. And then you had Mitch Marner turned over the puck. Terrible play on the third goal. Austin Matthews made a bad play. And think about this. 4 players for Florida scored their first goal of the game, their first goal of the playoffs last night in that game. By the way, if you bet all 4 players, a $100 bet would have paid $2.2 million.
Okay.
I saw that. Yeah. I saw that tweet. Oh, that's so embarrassing. Oh.
So Mitch, that's like, if I had won that, I'd definitely take everybody out for dinner and wine like crazy, like you're going to do when Skinner wins the award.
You're invited, by the way. I don't know if you were fishing for an invite, but you got one if he takes it down for sure.
Fishing, baby. I'm fishing. I'll never turn down dinner with you guys.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Good luck tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Take care. You too.
All right. Well done. The king of props. He's also tweets in play while the games are going on as well. And he was fantastic the last time we had closeout games with the in-play stuff, and then the empty net scenario tonight that could happen. So, well, hopefully Winnipeg can at least force a Game 6, and I don't like Washington's chances.
No, I would agree with that. Of the two teams here,
yeah, boy, oh boy, please tell me we don't have 5-5-5 here. 4-1, 4-1, 4-1.
What are you going to do with yourself this weekend if we have baseball and the PGA, and that's pretty much it?
Yeah, rivalry weekend.
That'll have to be like, has that happened in recent years?
Yeah, nothing this deep.
Second round, everything's done?
I know. Well, the NBA had the day off regardless, but on Saturday.
All right, we'll go over some NFL schedule observations up next. What caught our attention. Follow the money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.